Good news can often get overlooked or buried by the negative in our everyday lives. So let's change that. I'm Adriana.
And I'm White.
We're just two ordinary people without any special qualifications or anything, trying to navigate life. We invite you to join us as we share wholesome stories, news articles of hope, and ideas about how we can all make the world just a little bit brighter. We are uplifting positive stories. Welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Positive Stories. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
In a way, we've just did a little bit of time travel. For those who paid close attention, we mentioned we batch record these, so we've now teleported 2 weeks in advance, even though it's been half an hour for us since the last recording.
Yes, we are currently recording this here at the end of August, and it's been going really good.
Yeah. Hopefully the weather's been working out for people. It's been a really weird. It was cold today at the end of August here. That makes
true. We almost had to
no
turn on
sense.
our heat in our house. We're like,
it was disgust.
No.
It was disgust.
It's true.
Maybe it's gotten warmer since then, or it's gotten colder. I don't know.
You never know with the weather in the fall. Sometimes we joke, we have false fall, and then there's second summer, and then there's real fall. It's always crazy.
And then through it all, there's construction.
And then construction season just always looms. It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Awesome. Well, today's episode is all about coming clean. So being honest, taking the time to, if you need to be honest about something that happened or something's bothering you, being honest about that and how important that is in life. And because sometimes if you let things keep going under the surface, they can either get worse or they can lead to even more confusion if it's something that's causing problems.
Mm-hmm.
So just being brave enough to come clean when you need to.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing. So we got some very interesting stories involving that. Here we go. Our first one for today comes from the subreddit Best of Redditor Updates, and it was originally posted in the subreddit Relationship Advice. It is titled, How Do I, 24 female, come clean to my 25 male boyfriend of 2 years about a lie that I've kept going since 8th grade. So,
Okay.
kind of an interesting
Well,
title.
8th grade, that's
It's a long time.
a long time.
That's a very long time. All right, here we go. All right, it says, I'm aware that this is a terrible thing to do, and I will live with the guilt of it my whole life, and I cannot apologize enough to those affected by this. When I was starting 8th grade, I went into a completely new school district due to bullying at my old school. I still had one friend from my old school who I texted daily. We'll call her Molly. Molly and I had this idea to see how long I could convince the students at the school that I was colorblind. I am not. And we decided it would be easiest for me to pretend to see in just black and white, which I'm pretty certain is not a thing.
Listen,
So-
I already kind of see where this is going a little bit. Listen,
Yup.
these kinds of things are fun until you actually succeed and convince everybody, and now you have to gaslight yourself into now being colorblind for the foreseeable
God.
future, lest you get caught and look like a crazy person for faking this for so long. Anyways,
Since
continue.
8th grade. So they decided it would be easiest for me to pretend to see in just black and white, which I'm pretty certain is not a thing, so that I wouldn't get stumped if people tested me. Unfortunately for me, I was quite convincing, and nobody ever called me out if they doubted me. I went on to fall out of contact with Molly because she stabbed me in the back, and I was then worried everyone would hate me. That's sad. When I came clean alone without her to defend that we had come up with it together. At this point, I had made a whole new friend group who believed me, and the entire school that knew me also knew that I was colorblind. Fast forward to meeting my now boyfriend, nothing special, just lucky on a dating app. He was everything I was looking for, and I couldn't have been more happy, and I still am. We have never fought in the 2 years we've been together, apart from silly debates about SpongeBob plots and what kinds of food are better. I love him more than anything, and I want to spend my life with him. However, I don't believe I deserve to have that. That's sad. When we started getting serious, he met my best friend since high school, and in them meeting, my color vision came up, and rather than come clean to my best friend, I decided to lie to my boyfriend, and I feel terrible to this day. My issue is, I don't believe that I can continue to go forward when there is this low hanging over the whole relationship for no reason. I feel I have done the equivalent of cheating on him by lying for our entire relationship. I know I have to come clean, and I'm going to. I hope for the best, and I suppose I simply would like advice on how to best go about it. His family also believes that I'm colorblind. Feel free to rip me a new one in the comments. I deserve it for faking a disability, and I take full responsibility, and I will not claim I was a child and didn't understand. I knew I was wrong, and I regret it. Edit. Those telling me to add to the lie are not helping. I know some are jokes. My issue isn't if that I'm scared he'll figure it out. I want him to know. I simply want a smart way of going about telling him.
So I feel like more context is really needed for anyone who's like wanting to like cast judgment. I feel like the important details, like how did you play this? You know,
Right.
Was it more of like a side mention? You know, and I'm like, haha, like that's interesting. Okay, and then move along. You know, or is it like I don't know, they pulled pranks with it or something, or like they used it to like cheat people or something, or like get benefits. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, the thing is, it's not an "Am I in the wrong?" post. It's a
fair.
It's a relationship advice post. It's asking for advice on how to best tell the boyfriend in a way that's gonna be honest and hopefully minimize any potential problems.
Right. My point being, though, like depending on how things were handled, I don't know the full context of how this lie was utilized.
Yeah.
But if it was just they mentioned it and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like it has to be that big of a
Doesn't
deal
have to be super
necessarily.
big with this specifically.
You know, we've heard stories out there, not on the show, but on other shows we've listened to, and also people we know in our life about like, you know, allergies and stuff. With like some people have like faked allergies or have hidden that they have allergies and such. I knew someone that like there's somebody I know that like had a peanut allergy, but he purposely kept it hidden because he didn't want to be excluded from.
That sucks.
He didn't like being at the peanut allergy table. He wanted to be with his friends and stuff, you know. So you'll never. I don't know. It just depends how the lie was utilized. It might have been completely harmless and just be like, oh, that's weird. All right, you know.
Right.
I don't know. We don't know how the lie was used. Now, if it was used to like, you know, trick people or get something out of people, you know, that's a whole different game then.
Right, exactly. Which
how much of your identity did you make around this lie?
Yeah, it
doesn't
like sound like
was it your defining characteristic that you put out there, or was it more like a side little like mention and then it was okay?
And then
it
just continued that people would be like, oh yeah, she's colorblind, and that just kind of continued.
That would be kind of funny if it's not the plot twist episode. If it was the plot twist episode, I'd put money that that's gonna be like, oh, we know. Like,
yeah, we've known for years.
Like the way you reacted to things, like, yeah, we know you're not.
We kind of figured.
I'm guessing that's not the case in this situation. Otherwise, you would have used that in that last episode.
True. All right, top commenter. Hey, so this is insane. Thank you. OOP. I'm aware. Thank you. Commenter.
And they're aware that
here's the thing.
Lie too.
You've been feeling shame about this for so long you've lost perspective. So I'll tell you, this is objectively hilarious. It's also not that big of a deal. You told a lie as a kid to get attention. You didn't hurt anybody with this lie. You got in too deep and kept it up to avoid embarrassment in high school, probably when the shame started getting tangled into it because you knew by that point that it's a little cringe to tell an attention-seeking lie. Now, you can't separate the reality that it was a dumb, silly thing to do and nobody's going to hate you or cut you off for it from the ulterior reality that you've created in your head. That this was a shameful lie and you've betrayed your friends and boyfriend by telling it. The ulterior reality is not a thing. It's not real. Try to get an aerial view of this. Imagine your boyfriend claimed to be left-handed as a kid because he thought it'd be cooler and somehow managed to learn to write with his left hand and fooled everyone. Now imagine him coming to you, solemn, guilty, and almost in tears, and admitting that he's not actually left-handed. He's been right-handed all along. You'd laugh your butt off, right? I mean, if my husband told me that, I definitely would, because it's funny, and nobody got hurt, and it's so not a big deal. I'd probably make fun of him for it for a while, not mean, just teasing, and then I'd probably forget all about it. Maybe once in a while, I'd remember and chuckle again. Just come clean to your boyfriend. It's not that deep. Your brain and shame are tricking you.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal.
And there are instances for sure where faking a disability is definitely a lot worse.
Oh, yeah. Like if she had been like, oh, yeah, I'm straight up blind and like pretending to be blind and had the whole stick and everything, you know, and, like there's a whole different level of severity.
Yeah.
That I don't think this
is. Colorblind, at the end of the day with this situation, it sounds like it was didn't affect anything at all. It was just more of like a fun fact about me kind of thing.
I would assume so. We don't know the whole story and everything, but I would assume that's the case based off of this telling.
Yeah. All right, on to the update. 2 days later. I spoke with my boyfriend last night while having pizza. I simply said what I typed above, as many people suggested, and after a lot of blank stares, silence, and a simple, "What?" he started laughing. I was laughing nervously, and I was still unsure if he was going to get up and leave my house, but wanted to laugh at me first. Dramatic, I know, but that's me. He calmed me down, because he's a saint, and told me that I'm stupid, that was weird, and he's still slightly shocked, but ultimately, he didn't care. We continued eating our pizza, watched the next Marvel movie in our lineup. We're doing that right now, watching all the
That's
Marvel
true.
movies.
We are. Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
We finished Doctor Strange now. Got a
Yes.
long ways to go still.
Sorry, that little tangent, but yeah. And had a completely relaxing night. I waited to update, still unsure if he was staying with me after a night's rest on it, but I'm happy to say it's as if nothing has changed and I couldn't be happier. I saw a few comments appalled that I was sorry for lying to my boyfriend, but nobody else. I will admit my post did make it seem that way, and maybe he was the catalyst to make me take this step towards coming clean, but I do deeply regret lying to my friends as well. On that note, I told my best friend as well, over the phone, because she lives hours away at college right now, and she also thought it was hilarious and shocked that I managed to keep it up this long. She also said she wasn't upset with me, and it changed nothing between us apart from the relentless teasing I'm sure is coming my way. I haven't told my boyfriend's family yet, as I want him and I to decide together how to go about it, because he obviously knows them better than me, although I've already come to love them as my own family. I may update later on when I do tell them all, but I'm not sure. Thank you for all the advice, even though some of it was hard to hear. I accept that and will move on and be better going forward.
All right.
Yeah, so learned a lesson in that, and ended up in a positive place by being honest, telling the boyfriend, telling her about her best friend. She doesn't have to live with the guilt of it anymore. And now they know the truth about her, that she's not colorblind. And yeah, so sometimes just coming clean can make you feel so much better. Especially with a little thing like that, you might feel a lot of shame for it, but it might not actually be as big as you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it feels really embarrassing or shameful to you, it might not be that big of a deal to the other person. You never know in situations like something like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Let that be a further reminder that if you commit to a lie, the longer it lasts, the harder it is to come clean later. The
It's
more you kind of
true.
solidified it. And even for clearly a harmless lie in this situation.
Exactly. The more you lie, the deeper the root gets, and it gets harder and harder to pull that root out. So sometimes it's better to come clean right away.
Yeah. That being said, also, it probably goes without saying, don't fake a disability.
Exactly.
Kids are dumb though.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's kind of funny
We've
in
all
that
done
context, or
stupid
can be
things
funny.
in middle school, but
But don't do it.
Don't do it.
Not recommended.
yeah, exactly. On to our next story here. Again, from Best of Redditor Updates. They have great stories. This one here comes from an Am I in the Wrong post. That's where it was originally from. And it is, Am I in the wrong for avoiding going out with my sister because every guy I talk to ends up attracted to her? All right, here we go.
Wait. So for not going out with their sister?
She's
or-
avoiding going out with her sister because every time a guy comes up to them, they end up being with her sister instead of her. I feel like a lot of siblings or even friendships sometimes go through something like this. Sometimes,
I mean,
unfortunately,
yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, for that judgment call, obviously more context is definitely needed, but I would assume, I guess it depends on how it all goes down, you know? And like if you're honest with your sister about it, I don't think you're in the wrong necessarily, but maybe your sister's in the wrong depending on how they're acting and stuff, you know, but
You never
I
know.
don't know, it all depends
We'll
on how
find
you
out.
act it out, you
Context
know?
is important.
I'm prejudging already, it seems.
Well, let's read the story and see what happens. So it says here, I, 23-year-old female, have a younger sister, 20 female, who is incredibly beautiful, like the kind of beauty that people comment on instantly. I've always considered myself decent looking, but when we're together, it's like I disappear. The issue is that every time I'm getting to know a guy, whether we're flirting, dating, or even just hanging out, the moment he meets my sister, his attention shifts to her. Some even start obviously flirting with her right in front of me. It's painful, and it's happening so consistently that I've started avoiding situations where she and guys I know might be in the same room. My sister isn't doing this on purpose. I love her to death, and she's not malicious at all. But she's naturally very extroverted, warm, and open. She's the kind of person who will walk into a room and start a conversation with anyone. That's just who she is. She doesn't mean to flirt, but it can come off that way. I'm more ambiverted, so next to her, I probably seem way quieter and less engaging, which might make the contrast even more noticeable. Now, she's picked up on me distancing myself. She's asked why I don't invite her out anymore, or why I avoid introducing her to people that I know, and I feel like a terrible sister for not telling her the truth. But I also don't know how to keep putting myself in situations where I feel second best or invisible. So, am I in the wrong for choosing to keep some space between us in social settings just to protect my self-esteem?
I would say if you never talk to your sister about it, maybe, you know, I feel like that's, especially if it's true that she hasn't done anything, I think that having an honest conversation. But I think I'm gonna go therapist here. No, I'm not a therapist in any capacity whatsoever. Do not take my advice in the literal sense. I don't think it's really about your sister.
Yeah.
I think it's about your image of yourself, and you're using your sister as the like means to judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's really about your sister.
I get that 100%.
Deep down, at least.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think it is hard when you are like, because there's somebody out there for everybody. And so if you're more ambiverted, you might not be like the one that immediately draws people like immediately like that. That might not be your scene to even find somebody necessarily. It might be, but it might not be. Versus your sister might, because she's so extroverted, might feel more comfortable in that kind of a setting. And so being in that direct comparison where you're right next to them and seeing that happening, I get where that could feel frustrating because you might not feel as comfortable there, and confidence sometimes can, help you to find people or, get into conversations easier. I know for that, for myself too, when I would go with my friends when I was younger, like I was always way more introverted. And so a lot of my friends would end up like, talking with guys or making new friendships. And I'd always feel kind of like, oh, I don't know. Is there something wrong with me? Am I just weird? Like, and it's just because I was more quiet. That wasn't really my scene. And so I think that realizing that might help her too, potentially. Again, I'm not a therapist too, so don't take my advice. But like realizing that it's not like, she's better than you or anything like that, if that is what her thoughts are. And instead doing some self-reflection and being like, well, maybe I need to find a different scene, or if I'm wanting to meet guys or that kind of thing. And also and what some commenters also mentioned, and I think this is important, is that like they might not be the right people for you. The ones that are coming up and approaching your sister. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Again, there's like people out there for everybody. And so the people that are approaching your sister, like, then they aren't for you. Find the people that approach the people that you want to talk with and stuff like that kind of thing. So there's that aspect of it too. But I don't think she's necessarily in the wrong if she doesn't tell her sister. But I think for their relationship to be closer and to be able to help this situation, it would help her to tell her sister. Because I don't think she's like obligated to go out with her sister. It's not like she's taking something away from her sister or something. It sounds like she's just not inviting her to go out with when she goes out. But I get that.
But it could make her sister feel like she did something wrong.
Yeah, true.
When she really didn't. It might feel like she's being like, what did I do wrong? Like, well, I mean, think about it, take away that's your sister, make it a friend, and your friend stopped inviting you out for some reason,
True.
And wouldn't come clean to you about it. I feel like that's still a little bit, not like super wrong, but like that's a little wrong, especially if they really didn't do anything. Even if they did do something, you should still let them know they did something.
I guess part of it, what I'm saying is because I corrected to am I in the wrong, but really it's am I an AH, which feels a little strong.
Yeah,
like
true.
I don't think she's an AH or
that's
terrible
fair.
person is basically kind of what it's saying.
Yeah, I guess in the correct context of that, what the question actually is, I'd agree with that.
But I do think that, it could hurt your sister's feelings, and it could make your relationship not as close, and it could cause some, feelings of confusion and like, we're not close or something, or, what's going on. Which is bad for the relationship. So it's beneficial for sure to come clean as soon as possible and just be honest. So with that being said, we'll go on to the update. Here we go. By the way, they were voted as not in the wrong. Though the commenters told OOP that it is not a bad thing if the sister weeds out guys for her. So that was kind of the general consensus. All right, let's go to the update. Hi again. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who took the time to read, comment, and offer thoughtful advice. I genuinely appreciate your patience. It's taken me a little while to post this update because I wanted to wait until things had settled and I could speak from a clear, honest place. And also because I was waiting for the right moment to have a deeper conversation with my sister. The biggest shift? My perspective. And this is all thanks to you, and I will be forever grateful for that. What used to feel like a curse has actually become a weird little blessing. I realize my sister isn't stealing guys from me, she's filtering out the ones who weren't really interested in me to begin with. If someone meets me, then gets distracted the moment she walks in, that says more about them than it does about either of us. And honestly, I'm kind of glad they revealed themselves early. So now, instead of avoiding going out with her, I've started leaning into it. I actually want her around more because I know that if a guy can't handle being around someone beautiful and outgoing without completely losing focus, he's not someone I needed in my life anyway. It's like she's my human dating litmus test, and she's great at her job. I also talked to her finally. I explained why.
I hope you'd let her know that's the reason you're bringing her out, because that could be reverse.
It could also be kind of bad in its own
suckity
way.
here, if you're her, like, oh, you just bring me around just to weed out guys for you,
Yeah,
like that'd be a
right.
little not great either.
Exactly. I explained why I'd been a bit distant, and I made sure she knew that it wasn't her fault. She was super understanding and kind, which honestly just made me feel worse for having held it in for so long. But here's the curveball. During our chat, she casually suggested I get lip filler to help with my confidence. Now, to be clear, I
What?
never mentioned feeling physically insecure, so I was a little caught off guard. But I don't think she meant it in a shady way. She has filler herself and probably meant it as a, this helped me, maybe it'll help you kind of thing.
All right.
Still not sure how I
Don't
feel
love
about
that.
that suggestion, but hey, at least we're in a place now where we can be open with each other again. Also, I just want to address something that came up a lot in the comments. Quite a few people asked me to post pictures. That honestly made me feel pretty uncomfortable. This post was
Yeah.
never about trying to prove something or fish for compliments or invite comparisons between me and my sister. I wasn't trying to say, I think I'm ugly, please validate me, or look how much prettier she is. It was about a feeling, an emotional experience I was trying to work through and grow from, not a request to be judged visually. The core of this was always about how I felt, not how I look. And I'm really grateful that so many people helped me see that, and I don't have to keep carrying that feeling around. Anyways, thank you again for the support and insight. It really helped me get out of my head and shift the way that I was viewing things. And most importantly, my sister and I are good again. Things feel normal.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a true sister dynamic if there was one weird comment like that, like one unsolicited.
Yeah.
Because that's also
She's
the
also
thing.
only
that's-
20 years old, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, was this younger sister or older sister?
younger sister.
Oh, well, I guess it's the sibling thing in general to offer unsolicited advice.
It happens a lot, from what I've heard,
One of-
especially among sisters or brothers.
Oh, definitely brothers. I've definitely received unsolicited advice from my brother growing up.
But hey, they had a good conversation. They're being open with each other, and that's really important. And I appreciate that OP mentioned that too. Like, this is about a feeling that I was having, and recognizing that, I think that's a really mature thing to realize. Like, this is a feeling I'm having. It's not like
Yeah.
because I'm ugly, or like it's a feeling of, why is this happening? Am I not good enough? Like, what's going on here? And so it is because my sister's with me. It's dealing with that and recognizing that at the core, that's self-esteem. That's making me feel that way.
Yeah.
It's really not my sister. It's the self-esteem behind it that's causing it.
And you're never wrong for feeling how you
No,
feel.
100%.
You can be wrong with how you act upon those feelings.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, if she was to be like, to kind of going back on what I was saying before, I think if I think she might have been in the wrong is continuing to go out without her sister. Had she been feeling that way, it's like, I need to take a step back from going out because it's kind of making me feel not great about myself. I think that's perfectly valid. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would have been perfectly valid. But this is even better because now she gets to have fun going out with her sister still, has a new perspective going in, and now they are closer sisters because they are being open with each other and they know that they can be. So that's really, really cool. So yeah, on to our next story here. This next one also comes from Best of Redditor Updates, and it was originally posted in the subreddit Relationships. It is titled, Long Distance Girlfriend, 28 Female, has a close male friend who likes her. I'm 28 Male, wondering what to do.
Okay. I feel like I'm a little confused.
So
Or I didn't quite catch
basically,
it.
sounds like they're a long distance couple. They're, for the girlfriend, she has a guy that she's friends with that is into her. And the boyfriend is not sure how to respond to that.
Okay, so the girlfriend sounds like informed him that there was a guy that liked
Don't
her.
know yet. That's
okay.
that's all we got from the title.
All right.
But yeah, so like I said, sometimes it starts off kind of like, oh, what's going on? There's a good update, I promise. All right, here we go. This is a good learning lesson one. My girlfriend is righteous, fair, and caring to the extreme. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Case in point, I once killed an ant that was on the table, and she actually cried with real tears. Oh,
You terrible man.
because she cares, and because she can't see any being, no matter which one, be in pain. Oh. Now on to my issue. We're in a long-distance relationship, and there's this guy at her work that is really desperately in love with her, in my opinion. It started out as them becoming running partners while she was preparing for a marathon. They run together 3 times a week before work, and long runs at that, sometimes 20 to 30K. They talk a lot during those and got to know each other. Then they hang out at work. They eat together and they talk more. They're both kind of foodies. Actually, that's one of the special things between me and her. So they exchange things that they cooked, for example, jam in exchange for honey, homemade bread, things like that. Then, sometimes they go to parties together. Though, as far as I know, he's invited her a couple of times and she's always declined to go to a party with just him. If they're at a party together, it's because it's a group thing and they belong to the same group of people. Anyway, they go to parties and I think they hang out nicely there too. Lastly, although she declines to go to party one-on-one with him, they do hang out together on Sunday afternoons and the like. So, I'm 100% sure this guy is super into her. He does everything he can to hang out with her. Now, on to her side. She wouldn't hurt me. I was wondering for a while whether she was capable of cheating behind my back and not telling me. In other words, her version of not hurting me. But I'm pretty sure that's not an option because, number one, we see each other often, every 2 weeks, and it's miraculously amazing every single time. Mind-blowing. Never seen such synergy in any couple. Everything. The conversation, the love, the activities, we do absolutely everything. Number two, we talk on the phone all the time, every single evening. There's literally no available time in which she could actually cheat on me, unless they meet from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. or something ridiculously like that. Number three, she's pretty blunt. I don't think she would hide something like that. She's not the type to be afraid to break up. I think if she felt like it, she'd just do it because it would feel right. Having said all this, I don't know what to do. Just like I'm 100% sure that the guy would love to be in a couple with her, I think she is also not indifferent and she would definitely go for it if it weren't for me. They're a pretty good match. They have similar backgrounds, more similar than her and I. They work at the same place and like hanging out at the same spots. They speak the same language, whereas with me, she has to speak in English and none of us are native. He's a cool guy, young, smart, sportsy. He's got a lot going for him. It's a funny situation. On the other hand, it's super awesome to have a girl that's so true to you. I'm really sure she's not cheating. That's not the problem here. On the other hand, I'm also pretty sure that if we weren't together, she'd be with that guy. It would just make absolutely no sense to not be with him. So the question is that an okay situation? Could one see it as her just keeping the guy as a backup in case we break up? And is that an okay thing to do? Is it an indication that I'm not showing her enough proof of my affection and she believes there's a possibility of breakup? Alternatively, she's somewhat naive about many things. Is it actually possible that she doesn't notice anything? That she really thinks they're just friends and he has no special intentions? On the possibility that she's afraid of a breakup and keeps him as a backup, unfortunately, I can't go much further with our current situation to give her a promise of security. We're long distance, so I wouldn't do anything crazy like proposing to her when we've never lived together. I guess the only reasonable thing I could do is quit my job and move to her city, but I love my job so much, and I'm doing so well at it that it would be really hard for me to do that. Note that for the eventual plan, when we move in together, we would go to a city where I can keep working for the same company. There are many such cities, but sadly, the one that she lives in is not one of those where they have an office. I almost feel bad, because they'd be such a great couple. I feel like I should just make it easy for her and let her be with that guy. Be done with the long distance, let them be married in their city and have a happy life together. With me, we could have another 1 to 2 years of long distance to get through, and then we probably have to both move to another city to be together. We've talked a lot about it. We're both okay with that plan. We both can't wait to move in together, but when you take a step back, it would just make so much more sense for them to be together instead. I guess sometimes love does strange things. I don't know if I should bring this up to her at all. As I said, nothing bad is actually happening at the moment. I just want to avoid that in 1 year she suddenly has a change of heart and goes with him, and we all realize that we lost 1 year of our lives. And frankly, if that happens, the two of them would still be fine, but the biggest loser would be me, since I'd be all alone and I'd have to start everything over. The stupidest part is that this wouldn't be a question at all if we lived in the same city, because then she'd obviously spend all of her time with me, and she wouldn't have this enormous amount of time spent with this other guy. I don't know what to do. I'm happy with her and she's happy with me. I just don't want to wake up one day and realize it was all a waste. I'm in my prime years now and I won't be anymore in 2 to 3 years. So, yeah, that's the story. It's a lot.
I'm trying to figure out how to articulate my thoughts without like seeming like judgy and like harsh. But I kind of want to go up to this dude and be like, dude, are you okay? Just because of like the amount of times he kept circling back to so she can be with him. She can be with him. Like, what about what you've said here has indicated that she wants to be with this guy? And also, I don't know if there's enough evidence here to say that this guy wants to be with her necessarily. I'm not saying it's not possible. Guys are guys, but also like,
But it's not 100%.
but you replace the dude with the girl, and it's still just that. Does that change the situation then?
Yeah, right.
Because they're just friends, you know?
Right.
I don't know who needs to hear this. Guys and girls can be just friends.
It can be. It's true.
They're not always. It's not saying don't be like naive, but like it's possible. You know?
They could be really, really good
and
friends.
like you can't assume like what he's feeling, this friend and stuff. But you are in a relationship with your girlfriend, and she seems happy with you. So why are you putting all these thoughts so she can just be with him and be happy with him, and like all these thoughts?
I think it
like,
comes back to the self-esteem thing, right?
Yeah, it's almost like I had this thought a while ago, but then he kept going. I was like, that's when I was going. My thoughts going, dude, are you okay? Are you okay? But like my thought earlier was that like this feels like a little bit like the last story, but instead of sisters, it's now like
a relationship,
and it's like jealousy of like he wants to be in that guy's position of having more time,
which
with her
completely
and
makes
stuff.
sense.
No, I get desiring that.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like that's the real issue here. Well, I'd say two issues. There was a lot to dissect there.
It's a big story.
Issue one that I identified was that he's jealous and that he wants to be able to like have that time that he's getting with her that he's not, since they are living long distance. Even if they are happy when they see each other and the relationship's good, he wants that.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is completely understandable, you know. And he's putting negative feelings with it though, of like that aren't necessarily true, borderline conspiracy theory. And then the other issue then as well, I feel like he's freaking out a little bit in terms of like the relationship's getting serious enough now. Like he's starting to have that self-doubt coming, like, oh, but is this real though? Like, is that actually a good idea? Like the sum cost fallacy
logically
now
doesn't
of,
make
like,
sense.
Are we too far in deep now that now it's gonna be a tragic loss? You know, like if we try to bail out now, like before it gets like further along and more time is wasted. I don't know. It feels like the more he kept writing, the more it's like therapy, like just getting it all out and working through every single thought and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
No, it makes sense.
Not a therapist.
Yeah,
I'm just
100%.
a guy interpreting what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
and wanna be
so
like, dude, are you okay?
How would you, obviously, like, we're not in like a position to give advice really, but just out of curiosity, like, what would you suggest to this person if they were your friend and they came to you with this situation? What would you suggest to them of how to proceed?
Well, first I'd reassure him that the relationship is good, because it sounds like the relationship is good. It's like he's adding these thoughts and feelings of like her not wanting to be with him, or like he's keeping her away from her true love or something, because that's a little, I don't know, it's not great advice, but I almost kind of want to be there in person, like, hey dude, like a little, like, wake up a little bit, you're okay. And then reassure him like, hey, once you've calm down a little bit, like you've woken up a little bit, like have good honest conversation with your partner and stuff, and like yeah, but I feel like there needs a little bit of like just kind of grab and shake a little bit, dude, are you okay? Like break the cycle. Like, well, I'm sure part of it is like because they're separated, he's got more time to think.
Oh, you know? Yeah, when you have 2 weeks, I mean, especially like, yeah, when you're in that honeymoon stage, especially, like, you want to spend as much possible time together as possible. So we've never have been long distance, so I can't even imagine what that's like. I've seen other people that have dealt with that, and it's hard being apart from each other for that long. 2 weeks feels like a long time.
Yeah, we've gone like work trips or like family trips or friend trips, you know.
But like consistently having 2 week gaps and then seeing each other for a little bit and then going back to 2 week gaps, like that's really hard. So yeah, I can imagine that could play with your mind a little bit and thinking like, oh, is this actually gonna work? Because we have to do this for like another 1 to 2 years at least, and like so I get the fears surrounding that 100%, and I think that's something to like be open about, and like so that your partner knows that you're experiencing those feelings, and like of course being clear, like I'm super happy with like our relationship. I'm super happy when we get together and it's super fun. I'm just also struggling with like when we're apart and stuff, because I wish I could be doing more of those things that you do, like going to parties and with you out there and being able to do these things. Like, are you still okay with waiting that 1 to 2 years, or is there a part of you that does feel like a little like you know, I'm not as happy as I could be, like, you know, so to alleviate that fear instead of just dwelling in it and deciding what she feels and what she thinks, because you don't know,
right?
You know, so because I think that's a thing that we kind of all fall into, and I saw this on I think it was an Instagram reel, and I'm like, it's so true about when we assume what people are thinking about us, or assume what people think. And like this applies in this situation too, of like, if you're out somewhere and you're like, oh, I bet that person's thinking that I look dumpy and how I dressed or whatever. You're assuming how that person's thinking, and you're assuming that person is judgmental in doing that. And you don't want to assume that people are judgmental, because they probably are a nice person that's not thinking that. And so realizing like, wait a second, that's myself judging myself, and then also putting a judgment on that person that they think that way about me.
Yeah.
And so by realizing that we don't know how other people think, we don't know how other people feel until we talk to them. And so having that conversation, as hard as it might be really important, because at this point it sounds like he's spiraling.
Yeah. Again, going into this, I thought it was going to be, she told him that this guy, like, admitted, like, feelings for her or something. But
Doesn't
nope,
sound
that's
like
not
that
the
was
case.
the case
No,
yet.
not the case at all. He's just assuming that.
Yeah. So here we go. There is an update 5 years later.
5 years.
Here we go. Ready?
All right.
I brought up the topic, and she was super cool about it. She was surprised, and she said that it was just friendship on her side. However, she went up to the guy and asked him if he saw things the same way. He said that he didn't. He was actually into her.
Oh, he's
So
right.
she told him that she's with me and that they need to stop hanging out. It was never an issue after that. We still met him at a few parties, but it didn't make me feel bad at all. Reading the old post made me smile. It felt like a big issue back then, but she solved it so swiftly. I'm really thankful for her. We've had the most wonderful relationship since then, and even before then. We're 33 years old now and still going strong together. We moved in together a couple of years ago, and it's been amazing living together, traveling together, being together all the time. She is still so sweet, and I love her with the bottom of my heart, and it's obvious that she loves me too. You never know how these things will turn out, but ours is a story to fill your hearts with hope and love. P.S. Now I will delete the password to this throwaway account and any reference to it on my computer. It feels nice to close the loop. Smiley face.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So he was right.
so it did end up that
part.
he was into her, but she wasn't into him. She only saw it as friendship, and he was able to clear that up with her. And in doing so, she was able to come clean and ask him directly, "Are you into me in that way?" And then be able to be like, "Okay, well, I just see this as a friendship, and I'm into him, so we might need to reassess how we're hanging out." And stuff like that. And that's a really great way of handling that, in my opinion. I think she did a great job of handling that situation in a way that was respectful to both of them.
Yeah.
So
I still stand by my earlier statement. Guys and girls can be
they
just
can
friends.
be 100%. And that could have been the situation that they were just super close friends, and both of them were like, "Oh no, we're just friends." You know, it could have easily been that situation. But in him coming clean and being honest about his feelings, it ended up in a better situation for both of them, it sounds like. So just a good reminder of making sure to be honest about your feelings and stuff, because sometimes if you could let yourself dwell, you could start spiraling and assuming the worst.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to shake him up. Like, dude,
Don't
stop
spiral. Don't assume the
spiraling.
worst.
We do that to ourselves, to each other,
We
every
have
once
to,
in a while, or like, or we start going this downward spiral.
Yep.
No, wake up, stop it,
Don't spiral.
stop it.
It's important. So yeah.
Not that all of his feelings are invalid. Not that his feelings are invalid or wrong. It's just they were getting a little out of control.
Which happens. It 100% happens. And it was kind of cool to see 5 years later and being like, oh, it seemed like such a big issue at the time, and now I'm removed from it and things are great. Like, because when you're in it feels like the biggest thing ever, and then later sometimes you go back and you're like, oh, that wasn't actually as life ending as I thought it was. Like it wasn't actually that big of a deal. But it's hard to see the forest for the trees when you're in it. So
Yeah.
all right, on to our news article for today. So this is an interesting one. This one comes from AccuWeather.com, and it is titled, "This pinecone-sized device could transform the fight against wildfires."
We definitely have those up north.
Yeah, there's been a lot this year, especially in Canada. We've been having a lot of haze this summer from the fires up there. So this is a very timely article and very interesting title. So we'll go into it. To fight fires, they use satellites, drones, thermal cameras, and manned lookout towers to be able to alert authorities and first responders that there is a fire breaking out, to be able to evacuate people, to get the resources needed to fight the fire, to contain it so that it doesn't spread. However, in under-resourced areas, a lot of those things are super expensive and they just don't have access to them. So a group of graduates developed an easier, cheaper solution to do this, which is a pinecone-sized fire detector that they can put out in forests ahead of time. And that will alarm people or trigger to let people know that there is, in fact, a fire breaking out so that they can have a quick response time to things. So this pinecone sensor is made from wax and charcoal composites, so they don't leave any footprint on the environment, including when they eventually have end of life and are no longer working. They just kind of go back to being, they're basically compostable, it sounds like, and go back to being part of the environment. So yeah, they can be deployed in fire-prone areas and left for years without any maintenance. And then when the fire occurs, the heat melts that internal trigger and it produces a low frequency signal that raises the alarm. They say here, if you catch a fire that's small, it's a lot easier to put out, and it can help people evacuate sooner because they get a quicker response time. And it can stop fires before they're uncontrollable because they can respond quicker. The company is called Pyri, Pyri. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. So they started in London as a college assignment between 4 design engineering students. And now they're pursuing a commercial venture with it after they graduated, trying to make it a bigger company.
They go on Shark Tank?
I don't know. The reason that they did this, it's kind of a personal thing for the people that created it. One of the company's co-founders hails from Brazil, where he witnessed firsthand the forest fires in Pantanal, which is a region that experienced a record-breaking number of blazes last summer. And then the other founder, Gennady, I think it's pronounced, she grew up in California, and she was living in San Francisco during the 2020 North Complex fire that engulfed the city in smoke.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's a co-founder. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, either way, the people that created it have personal ties to the wildfires and thought it would be a good thing to create a better solution than what is currently available.
Sounds like the makings of a good Shark Tank pitch to me.
I agree. That would be huge.
If I get all 5 sharks in on it.
Yeah, it's an important thing. This is pretty crazy. Quoting the article here, wildfires spread at speeds of up to 14 miles per hour, so every minute counts.
Depends on the wind conditions and what's burning, like what the material is in the ground.
A 2020 study into early bushfire detection by the Australian National University found that a 1-hour reduction in response time could reduce the frequency of large fires by 16%. So, pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The company is hoping to run some small-scale tests and demonstrations to show their product and how effective it is, and they're hoping to operate larger pilots next year to launch commercially in 2027.
Okay.
So we might start seeing these roll out in the next couple of years, which is important because the article, I won't get into it too much because we're trying to focus on the positive side of this, but wildfires are becoming a lot more frequent, and there's a lot of stats in here about how frequent they've become in the past few years and the frequency that they're expecting for the next several years because it's looking like it's getting worse and worse every year. So the better we can be prepared for them and the better we can have tools that are good for the environment on top of being effective at getting that help there right before it gets big so that we can kind of get rid of these wildfires before they turn into a massive thing, the better. So yeah, I thought that was a really, really interesting company and very cool what they're doing. Yeah. So with that, we will end today's podcast episode. Tune in a couple weeks here for our episode Heartwarming Helpers. So a lot of people offering helping advice, helping hands in situations, and it's just very wholesome all around. So if you have any positive stories that you would like us to share on here, we would love to hear them. Please send them to us at upliftingpositivestories@gmail.com.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button or leave a comment.
That'd be awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
And stay positive.